America's interstate highway system slices through the core of several neighborhoods and causes division between the cities. When Congress signed off on the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956, it approved what was the largest public works program in U.S. history. The act promised to build 41,000 miles of interstate highway system that would cross the nation, drastically expanding the U.S. roadways and linking 42 state capital cities and 90% of American cities with a population over 50,000. Planning to eliminate unsafe roads, faulty routes, and traffic jams that hinder fast and safe cross-country travel, President Eisenhower called this massive project, quote-unquote, essential to the national interest. But the highway expansion was put into effect largely between the late 1950s and the early 1970s, coming at a huge cost to America's urban communities. The U.S. Department of Transportation says that over 475,000 households and more than 1 million people were displaced because of the federal roadway construction. These supersized highways split through neighborhoods, disrupting the pedestrian landscape, making air quality worse, and dropping property values. Communities lost churches, green spaces, and large amounts of housing. It also resulted in the loss of a lot of small businesses that provided jobs and kept money circulating in the community. Highways have extremely reshaped some communities. Now some cities are looking to take them out. Freeway removal is a public urban policy to tear down freeways and make mixed use of urban areas, parks, residential, commercial, or other uses of the land. The intentions of the removal is to promote smart growth, transit-oriented development, walkable and bike-friendly cities. There are a few cases where freeways are reimagined as boulevards, rebuilt as low-grade freeways, or relocated through less populated areas. Freeway removals mostly happen in cities where highways were built through densely populated neighborhoods, particularly in U.S. cities following the 1956 enactment of the National Interstate and Defense Highways Act. These highways often created urban decay that minimized use of land space and reduced the quality of life for city residents. In America, the routes for interstate highways were often driven through minority neighborhoods and urban centers, which often led to the increase of social divide by creating physical barriers between neighborhoods. Between the 1970s and the 90s, many highways had reached the end of their rope as planners and activists began proposing demolition or changing highways instead of repairing them in an effort to somewhat ease the symptoms of displacement and lack of neighborhood connectivity. A few cases end in the political debates between citizens who are for the removal of the freeway and suburban drivers who want to keep them. In 2021, U.S. Senators Chuck Schumer put forth a plan that legislation would offer cities federal money to remove urban highways. The initial program includes $10 billion to cover inspections of existing infrastructure and possibly cover costs involving removal and redevelopment. A second technique would be freeway to boulevard conversion. It involves demolition of controlled access highways, converting them into at-grade boulevards. Land formerly used for highway lanes and exit ramps are often rebuilt into sidewalks, bike lanes, green spaces, and sold for urban development. An early example of freeway to boulevard conversion was the change of the West Side Elevated Highway into a boulevard in New York City. In 1971, the Urban Development Corporation suggested replacing the old elevated highway with a new interstate highway in Manhattan. After a strong argument, New York City officially trashed the proposed interstate project in 1985 and gave 60% of its interstate highway funds to mass transit, setting aside $811 million for a West Side Highway replacement project. In 1987, the commission agreed to build the highway as a 6-lane boulevard with a parkway-style median. Another freeway to boulevard conversion was San Francisco's Embarcadero Freeway and Central Freeway. They were damaged during an earthquake in 1989. The Central Freeway was replaced by Octavia Boulevard, and the Embarcadero Freeway was replaced by a boulevard with a streetcar and light rail in the median. Other removal projects occurred in Portland and Milwaukee that resulted in reduced traffic, boosted economic development, and the creation of new neighborhoods and commercial districts. The Harbor Drive Freeway in Portland was replaced by Tom McCall Waterfront Park, and Park East Freeway in Milwaukee recovered prime real estate for redevelopment. In some situations where removing an urban freeway is believed to cause bigger traffic problems, some planners may think to relocate the freeway underground to reclaim the space. In Boston, the central artery I-93 ran through the middle of the city on an elevated green viaduct. The freeway separated historic neighborhoods and business districts in downtown. It was referred to as Boston's other green monster. During the 90s and early 2000s, a $15 billion project known as the Big Dig relocated the central artery into tunnels underneath Boston. The old viaduct was destroyed, and its path was reclaimed for a boulevard and a park space. In Seattle, The Alaskan Way Viaduct was replaced with a tunnel that carries State Route 99 underneath the city. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that subscribe button, like, share, or comment.